Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I want to go over the process of creating my first Flutter package, a category picker. This video won't be as formal, I think, because I just want to give you some insights on my thoughts rather than making this a tutorial. Also, if you enjoy my content, maybe consider subscribing and liking to help me making more videos just like this one. And with that being said, let's get right to it. First off, I went through the documentation by Flutter themselves, and I didn't record that because this was really not interesting. And after that I created a test package and just looked at the code of it. There wasn't really much sample code in it, but it just kind of helped me to understand the structure of it. I then looked at other packages code. You can do that in VS Code under the dependencies tab in the file structure, and this helped me to understand the structure of them even more, but the documentation alone was really helpful. I then created a new Flutter app inside the package I created for testing purposes and later as an example app. So this is the app you normally see under the examples tab in pub.dev. The package I wanted to create was a category picker, as I said in the beginning, and I already built it out in the news app. If you have watched that series of mine, you will see that I have created a little picker to pick a news category. And the only real challenge now was to refactor and optimize it for easier use or easier implementing. Basically, I ripped the entire widget out of the news app and put it into the example app, and I tried extracting it out of the widget tree into its own widget. The first hour or so I was a bit confused and I didn't really know what I was doing, because the widget was really specific for the news app, and I had things like enums flying around which were good to handle the data for the news app. But I didn't really want to force the user to use those enums, so I kind of needed to get rid of those, and that was really difficult for me at first. I stopped for that day with the hope that I would be better off next morning, and I was. An advice I can give for everyone learning new things is to learn from other people's work, and so did I. I again looked at other Flutter widgets. For example, the drop-down menu button, which has drop-down menu items as the children. And I followed that methodology and created my own category picker item. Basically, it was just a helper class storing some information, but with that I could remove any enums and other helper classes. In that step I also changed a lot of variable names to be more generic. For example, I renamed the category selection list to just items. Then I went on to creating variables in the constructor to allow more customization. I basically just looked at all of the colors and so on, paddings, margins, the user might want to change. And I also supplied default values for both dark and light themes, so you have a nice experience out of the box. Then I went on to documenting the code, because pub.dev requires to leave those Dart doc strings, so comments with 3 slashes, to describe variables. I'm not going to show a lot here or make this really short because it's not really interesting. It's just me typing things, and if you want to see them in greater detail, just look at the source code on GitHub. The last step was to create the documentation outside of the code, like the readme, changelog, and license markdown files. I recorded a small GIF with the widget to show it off, because I personally like to see what the widget looks like before I install and use it. I also created a markdown table with the help of a website, because I'm lazy, with all parameters and the default values of each class, so you can really get a nice overview. I then went ahead to expand the example app a bit more with all possible parameters in the category picker widget to show what is theoretically possible. All in all, I really enjoyed working on this project the last days, and maybe I will continue to add some small features to the category picker. I will link both the pub.dev page and the GitHub page in the video description, just in case you want to check either of them out. And till then, see you next time.